welcome to a special edition of ProTalks on the road. And I'm joined today with Heidi Ellsworth from Roofers Coffee Shop. And we're going to talk about recruiting, mentoring, women in roofing, and yeah, Heidi, thanks for being here.
Thank you. This is fun.
Yeah,
I love
totally
takeovers.
And we are at FRSA, which is the Florida Roofing and Sheet Metal Association Expo. We've already had a great time here so far. Met a lot of people. Had a lot of great conversations last night at the National Women in Roofing.
So fun.
Yeah, it's a great event. So let's just tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Heidi Ellsworth. I am the president and owner of Roofers Coffee Shop, and I've been in the roofing industry. This is my 30th year. Believe it or not.
Wow.
Started out at Malarkey Roofing in Portland, Oregon, and worked for companies like Carlisle and Eagleview. I had my own HJE marketing and now HJE consulting companies. But for the last 7 years, since 2015, I have been part owner of Roofers Coffee Shop, and that has been the highlight of my career is being at Roofers Coffee Shop. I love it. And of course, I was a little bit involved in an organization by the name of National Women in Roofing. Helped to launch that also in 2014.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm a member of that as well, and I love the organization. But I want to go back to right before you started Roofers Coffee Shop.
Yeah.
What made you want to step away from the other part of the industry and do this new thing?
Oh, you know what? That's such a great question. I was with Eagleview, and Eagleview I was in charge of, I had done sales and marketing there, and then towards the end I had the marketing at Pictometry and Eagleview, the whole 9 yards. And they sold, right, through private equity in 2015. And I had the opportunity, Megan Ellsworth, who works for Roofers Coffee Shop, was a senior in high school. And I had done this a couple times in my career where I was just like, I want this time this year to be with Megan, her senior year in high school, kind of reset, find everything, because doing a startup like Eagleview is a lot of energy. A technology company. It's a lot. It's a lot. And so it was great, and I was able to. It didn't last that long because I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And then Vicki Sharples, who's my partner in Roofers Coffee Shop, called me and said, don't talk to anybody else. She says, I want you to come be part of Roofers Coffee Shop. And I was like, well, and I knew we would be turning that around, doing some things, but it would give me that year with Megan without a whole lot of travel, because when there's a lot that goes into kind of first doing a turnaround or a transition, and that's why. And I just loved the idea of taking everything that I had done in the industry at that time for about 25 years, and being able to then share it with the world through this media platform, and really highlight all the cool people, the professionals, the contractors. It's just always been my life. Tell their stories.
Yeah.
I love telling
so
stories.
Good.
Yeah,
I love it. So what I heard you say was you were finding the balance, which I know a lot of women have a hard time doing.
Yes.
And you took that step of faith, which I think is really awesome.
Yeah.
So to keep that conversation going about women in the industry, what are some of the challenges you think that women are facing currently? Women are definitely, there's a lot more acceptance. There's definitely a lot more inclusiveness than there was 30 years ago. But I think women still have one of the hardest things in any career, in any business, is that women have not only their career, but they have their families. And they are the natural leaders of the family. I'm not saying men aren't. I'm just saying when it comes down to it, mom usually stays home with the sick kid. Or, you have these different things that you need to do, and to find that balance. You also have, to be 100% honest, as women grow into higher positions in a company, a lot of times the men have a spouse or a partner who doesn't work, and so they have that support, and they can focus in on that higher position. I found this a lot when I was Eagleview was a prime example of, I was on the executive team, and I
was the only one who, was trying to kind of keep everything going, juggle it, kids and everything else that's going on. And women have had a hard time finding that balance. But I think that's gotten better, but it's still a challenge. It's still a big challenge.
I agree.
Because you want to focus, right?
Yeah.
You want to be able to focus on work, but you want to focus on your family. How do you set that? I'm lucky enough today that both of our kids, Megan and James, work for us, and Tim, my husband's my partner, along with Vicki and Mick, and so I feel have the best of everything of those worlds.
And I'm sure a lot of other women in the industry relate too, because a lot of you see her here today, where they are here with their entire families. Their kids are here. They're walking around with their little cute shirts that are branded,
Yes, I love
S&P Roofing or whatever. It's awesome. It's so cool to see.
I think that's something. One of the many reasons I love roofing so much is because it's so family oriented.
Yes, me
and
too.
generational.
Yeah.
And I just love that, and I love being a part of that. So, but that's definitely a challenge. And I still think there's pay inequities that go on, and I also think there's still, women aren't getting promoted, or there's that one spot, right? Instead of really looking at the whole of the right people in the right positions. And so that's still a challenge for us. And the thing that's great with the labor shortage and everything that happened there is if companies aren't treating women right, there's a lot of other jobs.
There is.
And so I think culture and really that inclusivity, DEI, is actually gaining ground because of the demand.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. So last night at the event, I talked to a woman named Mary, and you know her. Yeah. She's amazing. We actually want to get her on the show.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Hopefully at some point. And she was just telling us about her story and how she had started out at a roofing company. She was doing a lot of the executive work, and she was realizing her own potential, right?
Right.
And not receiving what she thought she could get. And I thought that was an amazing story. So to bounce off that story, what kind of roles are women currently filling in the industry, and how are they stepping into them? Do you think it's like a leap of, no pun intended, leap of faith? Or are you seeing that they're having mentorships to help push them in that direction? Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I do think. I think first of all, there's a demand overall within any business today that people want to see diversity, right? The consumers, the end people, are expecting diversity, and so that is helping to kind of open the doors wider. Before you'd say, okay, well, women are in marketing, right? But they're not in sales, because not sure about you women selling. Well, today we're finding women are some of the best salespeople out there that you trust, and they're authentic. And so, but you also kind of finance, right? Or let's just go to the top, CEOs. Well, we now have some amazing women within the industry who are CEOs, presidents. Kristen from Elevate. We have, I could just go on, all kinds of folks who you're seeing women in those roles a lot more than it used to be. And I think that's because they are being mentored, because people see the ability, but I think also because women are willing to step up into that, and they're advocating for themselves, and they are saying, this is what I want to do, and they're trying to find the people who are going to accept them and help them go to that space.
And where are they finding those people?
Yeah, that's the thing. You got to look. You have to look. You can't. People will say, "Well, I want to be a mentor." Being a mentor is actually sitting and listening to somebody, caring about them, right?
Have you ever had a mentor?
I have. I've had some really great mentors in my life. I'll throw one out who's an amazing woman in roofing, and she is now, I'm not sure of the title, but she's in charge of sales for GAF Commercial, and that's Alma Garner.
Okay.
And she was worked with me at Carlisle, taught me huge amounts about the industry, but more than that, she taught me how to advocate for myself, how to be true to myself. She's very authentic, very true to herself. myself, and I knew I could be whoever I wanted to. Because there were times, and I think this is where you find mentors who help you through this, but there were times when you had to be a certain way. Do you remember, Danielle?
Yeah.
You had to dress a certain way, had to talk a certain way.
Yeah.
Now we're like, I'm just going to be myself. And much more accepted. In fact, it is now celebrated when you are authentic in who you are. So
And vulnerable. I've noticed is another
vulnerable.
Yeah, it's another quality that like I think people like value.
Yes, they do.
Especially in business.
Yeah, especially in business. And being that person who cares about other people, that's how mentorships open up. And seeing and recognizing talent.
Yeah.
We had a fun happy hour the other day, and one of the questions was, what is your superpower? And I don't know if this is my superpower, but this is how I feel that I work every single day, is to see and bring out talent in others. That's what I want. I want to say, wow, you're really good at that.
Yeah.
Why don't you try this? Why don't you get this education? Why don't you do that? I think if more people did that and just really sometimes got out of their own way and started looking at other people and helping bring them up, it makes a difference in people's lives.
Huge difference.
Yeah.
We were talking to some women last night, and they were. I asked them what made you want to do this, or like how did you get past that fear?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times women have fear-based thinking, and they're just nervous to do it, right? So I remember one girl was just like, I just did it, and I screwed up 900 times. And I was like, I love it, 'cause that's awesome.
I know.
Yeah, she wasn't afraid, and that's cool.
Yeah, and I think that for people, veterans who have been in the industry for a long time, helping that next generation understand. One of my favorite phrases is like, it's not the mistake, it's how you handle it, right? I mean, you learn from mistakes, but how you handle it afterwards and how people help you and kind of walk you through that to make it right, I think that's what's so important. And that's where real true mentoring comes in. Not putting people down or telling them to be quiet, but by bringing them up and letting them make mistakes, right? And being okay with that.
So good. All right, so I want to move on to a topic that I know you are so good at. Networking.
I love networking.
The master networker. Okay, so I've also reached out to some of Leap customers just to like get some questions from them, because like I want to know what they want to know, right? So what are some of the great networking events that you've been to and attended? And I know a lot of them come with these other larger trade shows, but like, are there any other organizations or things that you can tell people to lean in on?
Yes, I can. There's a couple. So I'm going to be totally self-serving here right now, but it's because I believe in it so much. National Women in Roofing. If you're a woman, you should be involved in your local council. You should be going to National Women in Roofing Day. You should be getting on the podcasts and the actually webinars, not podcasts, webinars online. When I can, the difference, Danielle, from and I'm an old term, my Rolodex, right? Before National Women Roofing, my Rolodex for the roofing industry was kind of like this. Now, it's like this.
That's awesome.
Because there is a way to connect with other women and share that. And it's not that I work with tons of brilliant, amazing men in this industry who are just so inspirational and great to work with, but to really get into that network of women, it empowers you. It makes you it helps you get into companies that you may have never gotten into before, because traditionally women are ignored a lot, right? You walk right past the receptionist. We talked about this last night. And the things, you walk right past the receptionist, you don't say anything. Well, that's a huge mistake. That receptionist knows everything that goes on in that, right? And so network with those folks and get to know them. I have to tell you, the other one, networking wise, that I am incredibly impressed with is the Roofing Alliance. So Roofers Coffee Shop just joined the Roofing Alliance. We're a member now, and it is like the top people of the industry who are all there for one reason: to give back. It's all they want to do, right? The Roofing Alliance gives out scholarships, they do funding, they do the CTE with the student competition. I mean, they do so much. And the Clemson classes that are coming out right now, but the networking within that organization is amazing. So anybody, if you can, as a company, to get involved, I think is really good. And then, of course, we believe in all the associations, and we go, and we network, and we go to all the associations. We believe no matter how small, all the way up to NRCA.
Cool.
So that's it. You got to get involved. Take a buddy.
but
Yeah.
talk to people.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I love bringing a friend.
Yeah.
Networking doesn't always just have to happen in person either. So what are some like digital forums or maybe Facebook groups that you suggest?
Yeah, LinkedIn, I think, is probably one of the best. And take the time to really fill out your LinkedIn profile, get all your information in there, take the time to interact with people, follow people, post your information. I also love Sales Navigator, which is a part of LinkedIn, because it allows you to kind of go deeper and really get to know people or companies or organizations, and then you can reach out. The other thing is National Women in Roofing has a directory. So if you were looking for other women in the industry in your area, you can go put in where you live and you can see all the other women there.
Yeah.
Great way digitally just to email them, say, hey, I'm thinking about getting involved with the council, or are you going to go to this? I'd like to get to know you. Danielle, I've had many times where I just walk up to someone and I say, I really wanted to get to know you. Would you have a minute? Can we just visit?
Yeah.
Because that otherwise, how are they ever going to? How are you going to get to know that person? And
I love that.
So, yeah, I think that, of course, I think Roofers Coffee Shop is great for networking. We have our art club, and we bring people together all the time on that platform too.
Awesome.
So,
all right, I have another question here. I'll do like some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So these are coming from customers, female LEAP customers.
Yeah.
So do the streaks, straining, or white spots mean anything on a roof?
Okay, I love this question, first of all, because it's like so random.
Right.
But I love it. Yes, it's algae. Algae grows on your roof, and then what happens is if you have where the algae dies, that's the actual streaks. So if it's black, that's algae. If there's like streaks through that black, that is where the algae is died. And that they die because you put a zinc strip over the top of your roof, or you get shingles with algae resistant that basically has copper in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, great question.
Yeah. She also asked, how does that affect the life of the roof?
It can.
Does it?
Yeah, it really can, because the algae will keep growing and keep eating. What it's doing is it's eating the filler and the shingles, probably more than you ever wanted to know. But my first job was at Malarkey. I know this, and so it eats the filler at the in the shingles, and so it will degrade them faster.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. See, it's a wealth of knowledge. What are some strategies for women to advance in the roofing industry?
Yeah, advocate for yourself. If you don't ask, the worst thing that can happen is they say no, and then you know that maybe that's not the right place you want to be, right? Or the other thing too is really, if you're advocating for yourself, or if you're trying to get into different positions, be sure to take a minute and look in the mirror. You have to be in tune with your own talents. I've had people who are like, I just really want to be in marketing, but they do not, that's not their talent. They're great at finance, or they're great at something else. And if you want it to become your talent, you need to take the time to learn it and to get the education around it and to do stuff. But once you have that, once you know this is the right thing, you just got to ask and find your friends, find your allies, men and women, who will help support you to get that role.
Yeah, I agree. How do you think the roofing industry can become more inclusive and supportive? I know we kind of touched on this a bit, but
yeah, it's you need to find the people who think the same way. So, like I said, I've had mentors who are men and women, great mentors in my career. And if you look for people who are inclusive, and then be inclusive yourself.
oh yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And I think the other one, and I've heard this a lot of times, stand up. If people are not being inclusive, or if they're telling inappropriate jokes, or if they're putting people down, or whatever they do, stand up for other people and say, hey, that's not cool. That's not how we do it around here in this cool roofing culture. Because once you start standing up for other people, it's amazing how many people are going to stand up for you, and then the whole industry becomes more inclusive. But the other thing, Danielle, I know it's rapid fire, but the other thing is freaking talk about it, because it's so. Well, we aren't going to say anything because someone might be offended, or somebody would think, no, it's okay to talk about diversity and inclusiveness.
Yeah, I agree. This is pretty common in software companies, but it could probably be applied to a roofing company too. Is like we, a lot of the times, create those mini communities for support inside of the organization. So if you're a female in a roofing company, you could start your own women's group or whatever, and invite people to it and just start the conversation.
Yes, start the conversation.
Yeah.
And then you can ask some questions like, why aren't there more women on that leadership team?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
How do I get on that?
All right, let's do one more. How can women in roofing advocate for themselves and their professional development?
And they're really good. You know, National Women in Roofing Day is the Sunday before IRE, and this is when you should advocate for yourself for. And how you do it is they usually, if there's classes you want to go to, if there's seminars that you want to go to, there are going to be justification letters, because really at the end of the day, the business is about ROI. Right?
Yeah.
And ROI, you need to be able to spell out why this and how this is going to help the business. So if you can, go to the organizations, get that kind of information, but then really go in and say, look, this is what's going to help, right? This is going to help me, the business, our customer base. This is going to make a big difference. You show that in numbers. That goes a long way. Instead of just, well, I really would like to do this. Well, why do you really want to do this?
Yeah.
And why do you believe, how does professional development, and there's so many studies out there that show what ROI it brings to the company when you do that for your employees. So there's a lot of support that you can get.
Even at the show here today, there's so much training happening.
Yes.
And I just think it's awesome because it's bringing a lot of like-minded people together.
Exactly. And training is the thing right now for when it comes to recruitment and retention.
Yeah.
If people, there's competition out there right now for good people and skilled talent. Women make up 51% of our population. Why would we ignore 51% of the population when we are in this huge labor shortage, and when we are really looking for skilled, talented people to be in roofing? It's out there, and you need that training.
Yes, I agree. Very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me interview you.
Oh my gosh, this has been such a treat. Thanks.
Yes, I appreciate you being here. And until next time.
I am really happy about your ProTalks. I think it's such a great podcast, and I'm really excited to listen to hear what you're hearing out there.
Yeah.
Because I think that's, again, communication, bringing it out, talking about these topics. It makes a difference in the industry. It's changing it.
Yeah, and I would love to get more contractors on it as well.
Yeah.
Just to hear their stories. We talked about stories earlier,
Right.
and the problems they have, what they're doing to solve them, and what they see in the industry.
We'll have to share some networking, do some names, because our club, we have a lot of great contractors in there who I would love to be involved with Lead.
Awesome.
So,
cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That'd be good. Thank you. I'm honored to be on here. Thank you for asking me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.